signal from one of the others. I think she's got this one sewn up.
Yeah, she looks good, doesn't she? I know you had a nice conversation with Gerda Stein. She's up to 9th. She's passed Edith Chalimo. We were looking forward to seeing how Chalimo got on her debut. Gerda Stein, that national record for South Africa, you mentioned, Mara, 2:26.35.
Yeah.
Very close.
Oh.
Very, very close. She might just do it. I mean, it's going to be tight. Like, at the moment, unless she accelerates, it'll be down to a few seconds here or there. I mean, Alana Meyer ran a 2:25 in Boston, but that doesn't count, does it? Because there's too much downhill. So
that's right.
The official South African record is that 2:26.35. So there's a little bit of drama and a subplot for the South African, who's currently moving through the field nicely in 9th. And the Irish stroke Australian legend, Sinead Diver, running really well. She's on course for not quite as fast a time as the 2:24 that she set here last year, but the 43-year-old having another fine run at the moment, moving through the field nicely and on course for something very similar to Gerda Stein. Maybe they can work together, just a couple of seconds separating them. So there's a lot going on slightly further back down the field, but I would agree with you, Mara, that barring some kind of unforeseen problem, this is Kosgei's race.
Rob.
I think it is. You know, sometimes we have this debate with Eliud Kipchoge when he races, or maybe we'll get to see it in a couple of hours' time. Men's race due off in just under 50 minutes' time, by the way. It's an absolute marathon, watching at home and in the commentary box, let alone competing. But we sometimes have this debate with Eliud Kipchoge, don't we, where is it a grimace, is it a smile? I think at times with Kipchoge, it's both, but I think there was a little wry smile on the face of Bridget Kosgei, up to 5:20, turning the screw. Bekere's in 3rd. Sarah Hall is definitely coming, and I know we've got people tuning in the United States. We had a huge international desire for coverage of this event because we've all been starved of distance running. Molly Seidel, by the way, another American, also on course for a big PB, 2nd at the US Olympic Trials. This is only her 2nd marathon, as she ran, what was it, 2:27.5 for that place on the US team. And I make it at the moment, she's on her own in 7th. She's a long way behind the athlete in 6th, but a long way ahead of the athlete in 8th. She's on course for sub 2:25, so a brilliant day for the American women here. It really is.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a talking point that if Sarah Hall beats Seidel, and Sarah's not going to the Olympics and Seidel is, but Seidel ran an absolute blinder at the trials, and you know, if she does a big PB here, she's absolutely proved herself. It's only her 2nd marathon, so you know, you really can't ask for more than that. But these two Brits, Mitchell and Cochrane, having an absolutely terrific race today. This is, to remind everyone, the National Marathon Championship for the British athletes here in London. So Naomi Mitchell currently on course to become the British champion for 2020. I just wonder if Cochrane is catching her. But both of these athletes having a fantastic race so far. With just over 10 minutes with her. I think, Bekere is just hanging on, so Sarah Hall running an absolute blinder of a race. We knew she was in good shape, but she's looking really strong.
Yeah, this is great from Sarah Hall. And you were just saying there, quite interesting, that there's evidence that even in the stages, just having a little bit of sugar swirling around in the mouth can help, even if the main benefits of what you're about to ingest would only come after the race.
Yeah, so we saw Mitchell and Cochrane there taking drinks with only, 15 to 18 minutes to run, and question mark about are you going to digest that in time. But actually you do get some benefit from just having something sweet in your mouth, and of course some of the athletes use caffeine as well, so possibly if you've got a caffeine drink, that might give you a little bit of a mental lift to get through the final few miles. So Chettengetich again looks like she was just going through a bad patch when we saw her about 15 minutes ago, but looking pretty steady now, and a long way back to Bekere. So has Chettengetich got this 2nd place sewn up? I don't think she's going to catch Kosgei, but Sarah Hall produced an enormous gap on Bekere.
Yeah, this is absolutely brilliant from the American. I'm just going back over the top 3s, Mara, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we've had an American woman in the top 3 of the able-bodied race since Dina Castor won it back in 2006. So it would be the first American female elite able-bodied athlete on a London Marathon podium for 14 years. That would be quite some significant moment, especially bearing in mind that Seidel, although we can't see her, if she keeps going, we could have 2 American women in the top 8.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Of course, Dina Castor, the current US record. So 1 lap to go for kosgei. Dina Castor, 2:19:36 in London in 2006. I was in that race, came 6th. I remember, I think it was raining on that day, but nothing like we've had today.
Right, 2:11:41.
So bringing her home in something around 2:18, possibly a bit under. So looks like that women's only record is not going to happen, but it's still a very fast time. Last year here in London, she ran 2:18:20 in April 2019 here in London. The year before that, she was second in 2:20:13. So kosgei, that is definitely a smile on kosgei's face.
It is now, and do you know what? It's a mark of how good an athlete she is. I mean, we shouldn't be disappointed. 2:18 is still an absolutely phenomenal time. What she ran in Chicago was just out of this world. She's just gone past Sinead Diver. Diver is running really well, not quite as fast as she did last year. She, I think, is on course for mid-220s. Diver's in 8th. So we were right to we were asking Hugh Brasher what would happen regarding athletes being lapped. Athletes in the top 10 are being lapped, such as the dominance of kosgei and Chetnigetic, and it's getting interesting here between Cochrane and Mitchell. Remember, in terms of their PBs, Mitchell is in huge uncharted territory here and is in line for a massive PB. Cochrane is having a fantastic run, but has done faster than she's on course for at the moment, as has kosgei. So major battle raging down the field to see who's going to win the Battle of the Brits. Kosgei, though, Mara, looks as though she's got this sewn up. Having a little look over her shoulder, she's away and clear.
She's on the final lap, had a quick look over her shoulder. She knows she's got this one sewn up, and just overtaking the Dutch from Hummels there. So 2 minutes, over 2 minutes she's taken out of Chetnigetic. So this is reminiscent of her second half last year, 66:42. I know we had those slower miles in the middle of the second half, but I just don't know what to make of kosgei.
Well, she's only human. I mean,
she's only human.
And, let's not forget, she's taken thus far, and it probably looks as though she will hang on to this, there's Stein. Now, Stein is running very close to South African national record pace, and kosgei's coming round to lap her.
Yeah.
So, if you're new to distance running, you might say, oh, well, don't worry about the lap athletes. Stein is having the race of her life.
Yeah, it's absurd, isn't it?
Such is the class that kosgei brings to all these races.
Let's not forget, Stein is a world-class athlete. She's possibly going to break her national record, and she's being lapped by kosgei. It's just absurd.
Well, I think Sarah Hall possibly just has too much to do. 40 seconds she's got to close down if she's to turn third into second and overtake the reigning world champion. And that's the other thing, Mara. Kosgei hasn't just stripped 2 minutes out of any old athlete. She's taken 2 minutes out of a woman who's the 4th fastest in history with 2:17:04 and the reigning world champion.
Yeah, this is what I mean about the new landscape in marathon running. I mean, Chetnigetic also had the same shoes on, so you could say, okay, they're equal, but taking 2 minutes out of the world champion is not something that we've really seen before. Unless Chetnigetic is having a bad day. Kosgei is just so in a different league, it's difficult to kind of comprehend. how you compare her to the other athletes. And let's remember that every woman on this start line is world class.
Yeah, because it is an elites-only field, and it's kept us enthralled for 2.25 hours. She's coming up towards the finish now. Bridget Kosgei. Now she is smiling. She's the world record holder. She's the defending champion. It's not going to be a women's only world record, but hey, it just proves that she's human. There'll be so many people up and down the Rift Valley watching live in Kenya, a proud nation with a rich history in male and female distance running. And Kosgei now picking up her pace as she edges towards the finish line. Another wonderful day for the 26-year-old, arguably, potentially, injuries notwithstanding, touch wood, we could be watching this woman for another 7 or maybe even 8 or 9 years at the very top. It's not going to be the 2:14 that we saw for the world record in Chicago last year, but let's not be greedy. We're watching one of the all-time greats, and she's delivered another supreme performance.
Sarah Hall is 37, 10 years older than Kosgei. So if Kosgei is still going strong, 10 years from now, goodness knows what she'll produce.
Here she comes now then. Memories of last year flooding back. She's been so consistent in London over the last few years. Second 2 years ago, won it last year. Yes, okay, it's cardboard cutouts instead of actual crowd, but we know from the number of nations who've requested footage of today's great race that there'll be people applauding and taking great delight from watching sporting excellence live here in London with the backdrop of Buckingham Palace. Bridget Kosgei, 1 or 2 agents and photographers, all of whom have passed tests to be here. Now the familiar telltale sprint. She's coming up towards the line. The time doesn't really matter. It's amazing that she's run inside 2:20. It's miles off the world record. It's a long way short of the women's only world record. But racing is about winning. It's about producing the goods time and time again. And Bridget Kosgei has done it, defended her title in fine style. It's inside 2:19. She's been in a class of her own. She has stripped minutes from a world-class field, and she is finishing 2020 by reminding us all she's the world record holder, and there's a lot more where that came from. Brilliant run from Kosgei. She's the champion in London once again. Now, Mara, we have to see how far behind Ruth Chetnegetić is and whether she's managing to hold off the fast finish of Sarah Hall. I know you've got the all-time list there for the Americans, so keep a close.
So can Hall. I think this is birdcage walk, so they'll have probably 400 to 600 metres to go, I think, just trying to spot exactly where they are. But she's going to be close.
This is a brilliant run from Sarah Hall. Her husband Ryan will be absolutely delighted with how his wife has come through this field. She's run fantastically well in the second half of this race, a little bit like Dina Castor did on so many occasions, running negative splits, coming through for a brilliant second half of the race. The gap is surely too much to turn third into second, but Chetnegetić, the reigning world champion, Mara, looks very tired.
She certainly does, and I think she's got a big enough gap, but she really looks tired there. Yeah, just turning the corner. A completely new course this year, but the same finish in front of Buckingham Palace, that iconic image. So onto Spur Road, and the next corner will be onto the Mount. Quick look behind there from Chetnegetić. I just wonder if Sarah saw that. I think she can catch her.
Wow. What a finish this would be. Chetnegetić is the reigning world champion. Sarah Hall is driving with every bit of energy she can muster. She's already achieved something fantastic here. She's going to be very, very close. I think she's going to break her PB, which is 2:22.16. Chetnigetic is absolutely shattered. Hall has definitely got the momentum. Oh my gosh, are we going to see a sprint here? Hall is trying to close down the reigning world champion. I think she might just get there. This is going to be ever so close for second place in London. Hall is coming. She's closing. She's passing. Chetnigetic, the world champion, has got nothing left. She'll finish in third. But it's Sarah Hall here will be the toast of the United States this evening. She breaks 2:22 for the first time, a new PB and second place in London, beating the world champion Chetnigetic, who completes the podium in third. What a